Welcome to the Lupe experience. This is a companion video for my Oud Wood review. It is a comparison video between vintage Oud Wood and Oud Wood 2013.
You are watching a master at work.
This is a comparison versus video between vintage Oud Wood and Oud Wood 2013. It serves as a companion video to my full-fledged Oud Wood review, which you can find if you follow this link right here. Got it? Cheers. And also a companion video to my vintage Oud Wood versus Oud Wood 2013 presentation video, which you can find if you follow that link right there. Cheers. That will give you the visual differences between both fragrances. Now, the official word from Tom Ford is Oud Wood Vintage Edition and Oud Wood 2013. Exact same juice, different colorway. Unofficially, no. If you smelt both of them, a lot of people who smelt both of them definitely see a difference. Some people not able to detect that difference as much. I feel if you know this fragrance, and people who really know this fragrance definitely say there are slight differences. And that's what this video is all about. So, what are the differences? Well, here they are. Oud Wood Vintage Edition is a more robust fragrance. Think of it as denser. Think of it as having more of a creamy, rich quality to it. Although it is not overtly dense and not the thickest fragrance ever, it is definitely more robust than Oud Wood 2013. And this is because of the prominence of the oriental fragrance notes of vanilla and tonka bean. They seem to be heightened in their representation in vintage Oud Wood. Meanwhile, for your Oud Wood 2013, you have something of a fresher Oud Wood. I was having a conversation with someone about fragrances. They loved Jo Malone fragrances. They weren't sure of the name of Oud Wood, and they referred it to it as Tom Ford's Oud and Bergamot, because Jo Malone uses a lot of combinations of notes in those names to name their fragrances. So he referred to it as Oud and Bergamot, and that's what Oud Wood 2013 feels like. It feels like an Oud Bergamot combination, like it's a fresher take on Oud Wood. It also feels like it's fresher juice, like it was just made. It has this very sprightly, effervescent, lively feel to it, more than your vintage Oud Wood. It feels woodier, crisper. I can definitely sense the Brazilian rosewood a lot more in Oud Wood 2013 than I ever did in vintage Oud Wood. Also, the Chinese pepper and the cardamom make their presence a lot more readily available in Oud Wood 2013 than vintage Oud Wood. So you get a fresher, woodier Oud Wood in Oud Wood 2013 than in vintage Oud Wood, which is more of an oriental, denser, richer, more robust version of Oud Wood. Now, in terms of performance, I get slightly better performance in Oud Wood 2013 than in vintage Oud Wood. So it can be seen as an improvement. But there's a caveat. Now, because Oud Wood Vintage Edition is so robust and dense, at least more than Oud Wood 2013, it is more prominent and more noticeable when people are in my scent bubble than Oud Wood 2013. But Oud Wood 2013 does travel a lot further and does last a little bit longer, also with a caveat. They have about the same longevity, but Oud Wood 2013 turns into a close to the body skin scent and coasts at that very, very, very minimal sillage level for a long time. Meanwhile, vintage Oud Wood would be completely gone and I wouldn't have any trace of it on my skin. So the longevity that Oud Wood 2013 has over vintage Oud Wood is kind of useless because I have to bring my hand to my nose to smell it. No one can really smell it, so it really doesn't matter. What I need you to do is go smell both of them. They are definitely, definitely different. In terms of which one you're going to prefer, it's going to be up to you. But at least now you have the knowledge and the tools in your hand to make an informed decision. I personally love them both. Very difficult to pick which one I prefer. And I've come to the conclusion that it depends on the weather. Because Oud Wood 2013 is a little bit fresher, Oud and Bergamot, I will use it more in the really warm seasons. And because vintage Oud Wood is a little bit more robust and denser, I will use it more in the colder seasons when I need something that has more of a dramatic, rich presence to it. However, vintage Oud Wood is soon going to be completely gone. All that's going to remain of it is going to be the legend and the myth. So it's definitely something that I would advise you to collect if you have the ability to, the financial power to. Make sure you get a vintage bottle. Keep that in your collection if you're a collector. If you already have one, you might want to buy the new Oud Wood and use that one a lot more. I am going to get a decanter of vintage Oud Wood. Once I find one at the right price, I'm definitely going to jump on it. It's something that I want to have in my collection for years and years to come. And I feel that there is that much of a difference where it is necessary. So I hope that this video was very helpful to you. Please, this is a discussion. Remember to converse in the C section. Tell me if you smelt the new Oud Wood. Oud Wood 2013. Tell me what you think, if there's a difference, if there are differences, which one you prefer, what your experience are. And as usual, you are now watching a master's work. Smell well.